6.1 proportions. So the first thing that you guys have on your notes page is ratios, which are a comparison of two quantities. So you can write in your ratio such as ratio of AB can be expressed as A over B, where B is never 0. Your first example, they give you some information. They say that the total number of students who participate in sports programs at Central High School is 520. So there you see that I've written a fraction. It says 520 over the total number of students. The reason I wrote it that way is they said find athlete to student ratio to the nearest tenth. So we need to know the total number of students, and you need to know which ones out of those 1,850 students played sports. So what you do is you write it as your fraction, you divide, and then you end up getting 0.3. Right, so 3/10 of the population. So take a look at the next example. Right, I'm not going to turn my page yet. And see if you, even pause this video, see if you can read through that explanation and see if you can figure out what the shortest side would be. Alright, so in example number 2. In a triangle, the ratio of the measures of the three sides are 5, 13, and 3. And the perimeter is 90 centimeters. Find the shortest side. So I know that we have 5, 12, and 13. If I take that and write it and say, well, maybe if I double all those quantities, if they all add up to 90, then I know that those are going to be the measurements of all the sides. I found that I did 10, 24, and 26, doubling the original ratio. It only came up to 60. So I did it again. I basically added 5 again to that. I tripled the original ratio and got 15, 36, and 39. When I added those together, I did get 90 in this case. So the smallest side of the triangle will end up being 15 centimeters. The other little tidbit of information that you should know is that you can just take 5, 12, and 13, add them up all together, which is 30, and take 30 and divide it into 90. We know that 90 divided by 30 is 3, so now I'm just going to take my shortest side, which would be 5, and multiply it by 3. That's how you get 15. So our next part of these notes are just some vocabulary words that you guys should know. So let's just look down at those. It says if two ratios are equal to each other, then we have a proportion. Each proportion has two cross products. So the cross products here, the 3 and the 6, so if we're looking at the two fractions, the numerator of the right hand side and the denominator of the left hand side are called means. The extremes are the 2 and the 9, so the numerator of the left fraction, denominator of the right fraction. To multiply, we have the cross product of the extremes, which is 2 times 9, and the cross product of the means, which is 3 times 6. When you do the cross products, each side should equal the same thing. So we've got 2 more examples just solving proportions. So what I want you guys to do is pause the video, try these 2 examples, and then when you guys come back, we'll solve those. Alright. You guys had some time to look at those 2. So I'm just going to cover these answers up just so that way we can just focus on the problem. So I'm just doing cross multiplication. I'm just going 6 times y and then 9 times 18.2. When you go and do that, you'll find that you're going to have 6 times 9, so you simplify that. What I did, and I just got the answer very quickly, is I went 9 times 18.2 and then divided by 6. Okay, and I got 27.3. The next one's a little more in depth because we've got this whole expression in the numerator of the left fraction. So we have to take 6 and multiply it by 4x and also 5. So when I do that, I'm going to end up getting 24x minus 30 equals negative 78 because I did negative 26 times 3. Then you're going to add your 30 to each side and then divide by 2. Or divide by 24, and you'll end up with negative 2. Alright, so take a look at the next example, which is going to be talking about trains. Okay. So it says you have a boxcar on a train that has a length of 40 feet and a width of 9. A scale model with a length of 16 inches. They want you to find the width of the actual model. So what I've done is I've drawn two rectangles. So 40 by 9 is the actual, so that's feet. And then my 16 represents inches, so I got feet to inches with the scale model. So I did 40 divided by 16, which is just 3.6. So that means that if I take my model and multiply each of the sides by 3.6, it's going to equal the 40 and the 9. Okay. So what I need to do is I'm going to set up a proportion. You're going to have 40 over 16, so 40 over 16 equals 9 over x. Cross multiply and then solve, so you get your 3.6 inches. Alright, that concludes 6.1.